Welcome to the New Jersey Youth Soccer Recruitment Webinar. Today we are joined by Rutgers Women's Soccer Head Coach, Mike O'Neill. Mike has been extremely successful at Rutgers, breaking all types of records and really putting Rutgers on the map throughout the country. Mike, thanks for joining us.
James, thanks for having me.
Nah, no problem. So I'm going to just start off with talking a little bit about the actual players that you look for when you're recruiting. What type of players are you looking for? Is it athletic? Is it skilled? Is it a combination? Is it character? What exactly? Because you must have like thousands of kids that want to come to your school. How do you narrow it down?
Well, I got to be honest with you. We try to the players that we're interested in, we'll take a good look at them, 3 or 4 different times, and we'll watch video. But when we go and we watch them play, we're fortunate that we have myself and Megan Ryan and Lubash Anson, that all 3 of us are out recruiting. So we do a good job trying to be in many different places to watch players. But what we're looking for, James, we're looking for character. We're looking for talent, and we're making sure that they're strong academically. Character is a big piece of it. Character is the day-to-day environment. So we're watching them. We're, looking at how are they coachable. What are they like during adverse moments? Are they passing the blame? Do they continue to work hard and compete? Being good people is massive. I mean, social media is social media, but it still goes back to the values of being a good human being. So we watch them interact with their teammates, with their coaches, referees, just things of that nature. And especially during adverse moments, that's where I think it's easy to be positive when things are going well, but during those times that it's difficult, what do they do? We're looking for consistency in those habits that are critical. We're also watching them as a player, the talent that they have. Technical is massive to us. That's the half a second that we talk about. It's if you're good on the ball, then that shows us that you're really working at your game. So if you're comfortable with the ball at your feet, it allows you to make good decisions. So the tactical piece of decision making and application is so important. The ability to see the game, see the space, and continue to have a presence. Like every time that we watch them play, can you see that development is taking place? Are they a better player, this time that we watch them rather than the last time? So you can see, because I think that's a massive part of it, is like it's important to us to select players that their best soccer is still ahead of them. So you can see the time that you have watched them in one event, that you see them in the next event, that you can see the growth as a player. We're looking for this work ethic, right? This mentality, this desire, this passion to compete, is critical, because I think that winning is part of development. So when you step out in the pitch, there's just this, you can see that this player is working, and they're working with a passion, a desire to compete and win the match. And then, and that's the physicalities of it as well. They're fit, they can play both sides of the ball, things of that nature. And then I think, James, the other piece is the mental toughness. The mental toughness is massive. How they respond to making a mistake, their body language. We don't want any drama. We want players that can, put life into a team rather than take it out. So we're watching those moments and how quickly that they can respond and, get on to the next play rather than still thinking about the one that they can do nothing about. And again, that's part of development, right? You have to be able to let things go. Part of being a good footballer is making mistakes, but learning from the mistakes, not dwelling on them. So those are some big things for us as we're watching players, and then the academic component is massive, because it is so important that they're good in the classroom, because that to us is another indication of a big part of their life that they are, again, have a standard of being successful. And when you get to college, what you realize is they go hand in hand. Is that when players are doing well in the classroom, they're doing well on the field. And, we talked earlier about character. We want to make sure that they're doing the right things all the time, just not when they're around us all the time. So I think between character, talent, and academics, that's where we try to get our pool from, that are very passionate about that. And, and then we kind of narrow down to what we're looking for as far as potentially positions, players that can play within our system, things of that nature.
That's awesome, Mike. So I'm guessing every year you knock back kids because of the character component. So they'll send you a video and it looks good, and they got all this skill, and then you go out there and they got a bad attitude towards their teammate or the referees, or the stuff that you mentioned. Like how often does that happen?
Well, it happens more than it should, because I think it's important for, young people to be good people, and so one of the things we try to do, we really try to do our homework, because that day-to-day environment is what we promise, that in that day-to-day environment, academically and athletically, that a player has the opportunity, or a student athlete has the opportunity to get better. So we'll do our homework, finding out as much as we possibly can from the club coach, from their high school coach. We watch them interact with their team, before a game, after a game, what they like with mom and dad. And and you'd be surprised that, you can, I don't know if you, and I you can just kind of sense drama in the air when you're with people, you really can. And look, this is a game for us, James. We want to be successful, but we want to enjoy the process. We want to make sure that we're bringing the right people in that are good for the locker room, that are good for the day-to-day environment of development. And it's still sport, right? So we want to have fun. We talk so much about, like, in our environment, we work hard and we have fun. That's non-negotiable. Every day you've got to come out and get better. And, I think by bringing the right people in, you've got a larger chance for success. And I think that's one of the things that we do very well as a coaching staff.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's it's making sense to me why the program is so successful. You're definitely looking for the right attributes, no doubt. That's fantastic. So what about the whole playing position thing? So a lot of kids grow up, they either have coaches that move them around and turn them into soccer players, or coaches that kind of develop strikers or midfielders or defenders. What type of turnover is there once you get into college? How many of your kids actually end up playing in a position that they never played?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think you started off with got to be footballers, right?
Yeah.
I think with all the history of the players that we're bringing in, and the time and dedication that they've had in the game, and they should have watched a lot of soccer, played a lot of soccer before they came to us. They should be versatile to play in different positions. Versatility is critical to us. Because versatility is critical because of, you need talent in each of the areas. If player goes down, you need to make sure that we can have a player that can fill in without skipping a beat. I think it's so important to play different positions. I think it just as it's the Dutch way, right? Is the outside back and the winger, that relationship. And we talk so much about total football, just being able to play in different positions on just on movement alone. So I think that I think that's massive, James, massive.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, so so I'm interested. I think I got the talent, and um, I'm playing on a pretty good team, and I'm reaching the age of U15, and I'm ready to start my college recruitment process. And I want to get my ducks in order.
Yeah.
What does that list look like?
Well, first of all, I think that some of the changes in the recruiting rules have slowed down the process, and I think that is those are some great changes in the rules. But as a freshman, it's really, you gotta be strong academically. You've got to make sure that you continue to work on becoming a better player. So for me, my freshman year is just telling the student athletes, just really focus on that. You can look at getting to some college ID camps, but what every college coach is going to want to do is they're going to want to see you in your environment. So, if you have 20 players on a team and everybody goes to 3 camps, well, that's 60 opportunities that you had to train that everybody wasn't there. So I think it's important to get to camps, not at, making sure that you don't miss training, because I think that's critical. So I think there's a way within a calendar to kind of figure that out. I think your sophomore year, the start of your sophomore year is, now you're trying to get to a few more camps, and you have to do that within your high school season or club season. And again, you be sensitive to that because, each team is in their journey together. Although you have to run your own race, it's everybody's in it together. And I think when you get into your sophomore year, again, it's continue with academics development, get to some college camps, start to, set up a meeting with your club coach to figure out schools of interest, whether that be academically, locally. You want a big school, small school. I think it's trying to find the perfect fit for you, not for everybody else. And sometimes what happens is because James does something, Mike has to do the same thing. And I think sometimes that gets lost because you still want to make sure when you make this decision to go to college, that after college, you still have a love for the game. So you got to make sure that you select some schools of interest that you feel that you can play at. Go watch them, see if the style fits you. When you sit down with your coach, look at some schools of interest and maybe some reach schools, because that is still only your sophomore year. There's still time to develop, so maybe you have some reach schools that those reach schools, when you get into the process, like your junior year of making a decision, that you can see the development that you're between yourself and and the coach. They have recognized the development of the player over the past couple of years and the direction that they're going in. So getting a couple of those schools, reach schools of development. I think when you get into your, that you're, June 15th of your sophomore year, you can receive calls and texts and things like that from college coaches. So again, I think the thing that's so important is that they're going to know a little bit more about you before you even make that call. They're going to know what type of person you are based on if they're building a database on you because they've come to watch you as a freshman and as a sophomore. But then it's trying to figure out a way to have communication, get on campus, which you can't get on campus until August 1st, going into your junior year for an official or unofficial. But it's important to spend time on campus to get to know the coaches, staff, get to know the players. I think it's important also, that's the year, your SATs, ACTs, things of that nature, getting into your junior year. Then you take your list of schools and, you send information out and they'll get a chance to watch you. You'll get a chance to, you'll get some feedback, or you may not get any feedback. So that's kind of an indication that they may not be interested. I think relying on your club coach is an important piece, because if you want information, they're going to be able to provide it for you. But I also think your junior year, you being your own champion, you have to be the one that kind of reaches out, and no parents. You take that, you make sure that you're responsible for the recruiting process. There's a role that the parents will play, obviously, but not in communicating with the coach. And then you kind of narrow that down, and you make a decision somewhere within your at the end of your junior year, and some a little bit later, but I think what happens sometimes is the later it goes on, people start to panic a little bit, and they shouldn't. There is a place out there for everyone, and you'll find the place that fits you. I have so much respect for the players that have slowed it down and have, kind of controlled that process. And maybe they missed an opportunity here or there, but maybe that opportunity wasn't for them. But when they chose the school to go to, they made the right choice for them. So for me, that's a little bit of the 4-year process.
Yeah. So one of the, and I call it a myth when I talk to my parents too. I actually had a call yesterday with one of the parents that was under the assumption that, college coaches just grab their chair, go to these tournaments or games, and they just sit down and they just look out on the field and they say, yeah, I want that kid. And they're going to just come over and approach you. A lot of parents, when they start the process, they think that it's just as simple as that. Now, just so it's clear, that doesn't happen, right? You guys only go and look at kids that have actually shown interest in your school. Is there ever a time where you see a kid and you do approach them?
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of going to games, right? Is that you're looking for a player, and that, a lot of other people are looking at, but you're also looking for maybe that diamond in the rough where it's someone that you recognize that is, there's something special there, and maybe she's not on your list. So I think for us is that when we watch games, we compare, and we'll look at the players that are interested in Rutgers University, and we'll say, yeah, or, we'll say, no, we just don't think that they're for us, or we need to see again, because there's a little something there. And that's why I said to you, watching a player, 3 and 4 times, and the videos are big, especially right now. Like highlight films are highlight films for a reason, so it's it's you doing everything right, but watching the game tells you so much about, the player. So, we'll watch players and we'll watch video so we can make the right decision. That's best for us and what's best for the player. But every time we're out watching, we're watching to find somebody. So it's just not the players that write to us. And again, I can't stress enough is to be a good footballer and have an impact in anything that you do, you need to be consistent. So that going to watch someone 3 and 4 times, is massive, because if we watch you 4 times and 2 times you're okay and the other 2 times you're really good, well, who's going to show up on Sunday? Which kid? So that consistency for us is massive. So
yeah, I bet. So things have kind of shifted over the last 4 or 5 years. The college ID camps have just popped up all over the place. How important of a tool is that for a player looking to play in college? Maybe not in your school. I don't know how active you are in the college ID, but have you noticed a big shift like I have?
yeah, I think that, like, if you go back, we were talking earlier that we've been doing this for 20 years. And when we first started this, the camp business was a massive business. And you're right, it's changed. The college ID camps for me, at our level or any level, are important because you get a chance to spend some time with someone, to get a chance to know them, we talked about earlier, the different things. What is their character like, and are they good on the ball, and do they let things go? Is it are they working hard? You get a chance to see that up close and personal in your environment, coachable, so whatever you're going to do that day and the instructions that you provide, are they open to learning? Because if they're open to learning, then if they're working hard and they're open to learning, then the possibilities are there for that person to have an impact at whatever level they can play. But getting them in your environment, having them interact with the other campers, seeing the talent that's there. You're able to look at them kind of with each other, see how they interact with your current players. They get a chance to interact with the coaches. What is that like? And, simple James as at the end of the training session, is everybody, looking to go pick up the balls? Are they picking up the trash? You get a chance to see that in your environment. But I think the thing that's most important too is that the player gets a chance it goes both ways. It's just not, and I try to explain that to players. It's just not us you're looking at us too. Do you see yourself with that person? Do you like the way that their communication? Do you like the way the coach conducts himself? Are they humble? Or are they, I find that coaches that are humble do so much for their players, where, coaches that are a bit about themselves, it's about them. Maybe they don't do as much. That's my opinion. So you'll get a chance to see if that coach is about what that coach is about, the way that they approach things. Are they organized? Just things of that nature. You get a chance to see the players, because like you're watching the players to see that how they interact, the current players, because if there's a bond between them, that's what you're going into, a family, so I think it's, we talk so much about at Rutgers is that, family, we're looking for family, we're looking for academics, our football, and our character, so I think you can get a chance to see in those ID camps a little bit of that, not the academic piece, they'll bring somebody in for that, but you get a chance to see a little bit of the family environment, the level, and the character of the people involved in the program. So I think college IDs are important.
Excellent. So just one more about the whole recruitment process. So you receive an email from a player, link to a video, player looks skilled, you show up to a game, and you're sitting on the sideline, and you notice a crazy obsessed parent on the sideline yelling and screaming. You know where I'm going, right?
I definitely do.
Yes. So after the game, you see the player you're recruiting happen to be their parent. Does that determine a yes or a no?
Yeah, I mean, the family is part of it, and you and I are fortunate that we're involved in every level of soccer, and I tell families all the time, when someone asks me about you, I'm always going to be honest with them, because it's that person's job, it's their livelihood, it's the way that they feed their family, but it's also the reputation of the coach, the club. So, and I think that's so important that the parents understand that is because how they behave is massive. And, am I going to look at the behavior of a parent, and is that going to be a factor in whether I will, recruit that player? 100%, because again, I think that I think if you were to take people that are all involved in your program, whether that's your staff or support staff, the players, the parents play a role. We're fortunate that we have a great family environment that's been created by the staff, the players, our families. After games, they have a barbecue out there that number gets up into a couple of hundred. They're enjoying themselves and enjoying the program. We ask a lot of our parents. They travel, they go into, we send them out information, our travel itinerary before the season starts. And, they are aware that, it's a business trip, and they're on the trip with us. The more, the merrier. We want our families involved. So if we bring someone to our program that takes life out of the program, it now takes away from the experience of everybody. So we're, when we have conversations with family, with players and their families, we talk about the role of the parents, the role the parents play. So if we see somebody on the sideline that's a bit, it just maybe lost the plot a little bit, or a lot, there's definitely a red flag.
So do college coaches in general, Mike, entertain emails and complaints from a parent, or will they straight out approach the player and say, hey, you're an adult now, whatever issues you've got, let's communicate, me and you, let's keep your parents out of it?
Yeah, I think it always starts with the player because, again, we're developing student athletes, and when they come in at 18, we want them to be stronger and confident, more confident before, by the time that they leave. I think, and it's a conversation, James, that we have with families, is that there is nothing off the table that a player can't talk about. And I can say it over and over. I tell people, do you ever have a question? You don't have to go to bed at night wondering what one of us are thinking. Just pick up the phone and ask. You'll laugh at this, as I put a lot of food in the office because they'll come in and eat. They'll sit down and we can get in and have some good conversations. I'm not the principal, but it always starts with the player. I always want them to know, hey, you're doing well, or, this is the way that you can improve. So that communication is critical. I believe I'm a good communicator, but I can never be as good as I need to be for everybody. But every day I've got to make sure that I continue to try, because it's, when you're dealing with, 28 players, it's not easy, but it has to, it's one of my goals as a coach is, just want to be so good at communicating and let players know where they stand. Have I ever had a parent reach out? And yeah, I have, but I still think it's what we spoke about. My character is no different than a player's character. For me to not entertain, I won't talk about playing time, but for me to not entertain a concern that because a lot of times the player will communicate with their mom and dad, better than they will with me. And that's what we have to try to change. But I've had some parents that would just send an email, say, hey, look, just so you know, James is a little confused. Is there, just be aware of that. No problem. But when someone gives me their prized possession or our coaching staff, it is so important for us to develop the total person. That is a trust that is so important. So when they come to Rutgers, we don't now say, okay, you can't talk to us anymore, because that didn't happen before the process started, but it's, as well as I do, is, and it's one of the things in the game that people will tell, relationships are built, right? But a lot of times they're built on playing time, and it's one of the things that is difficult for coaches, but again, I think that, if that parent reached out, we can't change, we were talking to them before we had the ability, before their child came to Rutgers, and now they're at Rutgers and we're not really going to talk. I find that the more proactive you are, the less issues you have.
Awesome. All right. So I've done everything right. I've done my club football. I've been recruited. I'm about to enter into the college world. How hard is it to balance the academic and the athletic piece, Mike? How is it stressful for these kids? Do they ever get behind on academically, or does academics affect their athletic career as well, and vice versa? How many issues like that do you have a year?
Well, yeah, I mean, they go hand in hand. We're fortunate that we have a support staff academic advisor for women's soccer. Randy Larson is, I think she's one of the best in the business. So we set, we have a structure that allows our players to be successful, be proactive. From meetings to tutors. There's the academic component is we take a lot of pride in what we do academically. You know, our GPA is over a 3.3, you know, sometimes higher, never lower. That's pretty good for, 28 players. So there is an importance of academic and athletics. But we have a great structure, great support system that allows players to be successful. The only way you're not going to be successful is you decide not to work. But what we find is that when someone is in need of something, they'll have the opportunity to get help in any capacity that they need. Because James, it does go hand in hand. If they're not good in the classroom, there's no way they're going to be good on the pitch. No way. And we tell the players all the time, if there's an issue with academics, you have to take care of that issue before you come to training. And if that is a result that you're going to miss a training session on a day, that's fine, because you're not going to be any good in that training session anyway. Yeah. So why not go take care of your academics and then feel good about what you're doing and then come back? And it's just a relationship that has been built between, our academic advisor, the players, and the coaching staff. It's a clear understanding. It's a level of trust, because it's not easy. It's not easy. You travel, you're missing classes, at times we have our academic advisor travel to us. She'll proctor tests on the road. Their study hall hours. If they don't get enough study hall hours in, they're not happy. So the study hall hours during the week, the study hall hours on the road, because again, it's where the student athlete comes in, is they're coming to Rutgers to get a great education. So when their time at Rutgers is done, they have choices. They're coming for the football. They have a lot of players that want to play pro ball. But I find, players and it's interesting because every year we have players that have been drafted, and when they come out and they can just focus on football and not the academic piece, it just adds another level to their game because they're pros, Yeah. So James, it goes hand in hand. But I know as a coaching staff, we all feel very fortunate about the academic support we have at Rutgers University.
That's awesome. So what about the social component? Like, do you guys trim things down and tell your players, look, during the season, we want you to think and act professionally. We need you sleeping early, eating all the right foods, drinking your water, stretching. Do you guys kind of give them guidelines for the season, and then in the off season you say, okay, now you can go be a little bit more social and be more of a kid and enjoy the experience more? How do you balance that one?
Yeah, well, we talk all the time. It's academics and football. Everything else is way down there, so it's about, you have to be able to come out every day, and the idea is to get better every day. But what you do when you leave us is critical. Like, we don't want it to be a job. We don't want it to be a job. So we're efficient in time and time management, making sure that our players, when they step foot on campus for preseason, they know their schedule from the time they leave in December. Now, will there be a few tweaks along the way? Yes, there will, because sometimes we can't, we have nothing to do with the weather or things of that nature. We'll also look for days that, that we feel that they need a break. So we kind of, will be masters of our calendar, masters of their time, because we want them to recognize the time that they can get their work done, times that they can eat properly, get proper rest, because part of being an elite level athlete is all of that. You got to eat properly. You got to take care of your body. If you need a little something extra, okay, then maybe you feel you didn't get something today, then, we'll stay after. So the players know when there's that free time to, go out and put a little bit more time in, whether that be soccer or education. But we're looking for, we want players, James, that come to Rutgers that, education and soccer are the priorities, and everything else is way down there. The team dynamic is massive to us. Them spending time with each other is big. It's really big. But, you know, we are there, and everything that we do and how we conduct ourselves, we talked about character, is for the betterment of everybody that's involved in the program. Yeah, how they look after themselves and what they put in their body. We have a nutritionist on staff, so they can go to them, get food journals, you know, do the right thing. We have a strength conditioning coach that is, you know, even now in these tough times, that is, you know, they know the different things that they can work on. Our strength conditioning coach is, you know, only soccer. That's all. He's pure soccer, which is brilliant. So we can monitor, you know, through the heart rate monitors and things of that nature, you know, what players need. But it's that total professional. You got to be a professional in what we're doing. You know, that's the way that we're all going to be successful. And I think if you're going to do something right, you want to make sure that you can get the total experience out of it, you know? So the social for us, we know the social exists in college, but it's not a priority. So we want players coming in that, you know, that love football. They want to get a great education and want to get better.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're basically, even though you're in school, you really got to think like a professional, and it's got to be number one. So that's important, I think, for the audience to know that, you know, you make this commitment and you're going to a serious program like yours. There's a lot of sacrifice that needs to be made with it, obviously.
Yeah. I think the word like it's interesting is the sacrifice, right? So it's a choice.
Yeah.
You know, but what happens is that, like, you know, what you realize, and you know, you have to take care of yourself in anything that you do, right? You got to take care of yourself. But what you realize, if you're organized, your time management skills are you know, where they need to be, there is a lot of time to do something different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's not like we you know, we all chose to do this, you know. So but we want it to be, like I said earlier, it's still sport. It's got to be hard work and fun. And if you know, you want to spend time with your team, which are, you know, you enjoy the people that you're doing it with. You know, that's more than half the battle.
That's excellent. Two more questions. Real quick. So I've gone through the process. I've registered with your school. I've hopped into some classes or whoever it is, and I show up and I'm about to go on my first training session with the team and start my college career. And you've got 1 minute to give a player advice. What would that advice be?
Work. Be coachable. Be open to learning. You know, and again, I'm a new person. Pay your dues. Be respectful for the players that are here currently. You know, you kind of feel your way, and you let your boots do your talking. You know, but be respectful in everything that you do, and work.
Love it. Love it. So last thing, how are you guys handling this whole pandemic? What's the team up to these days?
Yeah, it's you know, it's a difficult time. But you know, as well as I do at the NCAA, there's a lot of rules. So right now, the players are home. They're in exam time right now. So as of last week, we could only do like I think it was 8 hours of work with them, and that was really just team meetings. We asked them to watch some games, whether that be ourselves or some, you know, other teams, Barca, Real, Liverpool, City, and just kind of look and try to develop themselves tactically, you know, provide some feedback for us. We put them on huddle. They can break down the game. And then so we asked them to do a little bit of that. And then we gave them some of us so they can think about the things that they learned and how now they could apply that to us in the game that they watched. So, you know, we're trying to technically make sure they're doing the things that they're supposed to do, but they can't show us. So the physical activities they're not allowed to show. We're making sure tactically that they continue to learn and get better at the game. You know, fitness, again, we have a strength and conditioning coach who's brilliant, who sends them workouts. So they're just in exam time right now. So it's like a time that they're, you know, just focusing on academics, and then he'll send them starting on the 14th of May, a 4-week blocks of fitness. You know, what to do to get themselves up for coming into preseason. We have a leadership and performance coach, and I know that you're a guy on leadership and performance and mental toughness that reaches out, you know, along with the coaching staff to make sure that they're, you know, that they're doing the things that they're supposed to be doing, that they're in a good place, because it's not easy, and we don't know what the future holds. So we need to make sure that they're preparing, and this way, when we get the green light, we're ready to go. If we have to play catch up at some point, and they're not prepared, it's not going to help them, because of, you know, when you're not prepared, that's where your injuries kind of set in, and it's not going to help us. And so the time that they're spending at home right now is critical. And we have a calendar for development. This calendar for development is something that we've had for years. And what it does is you can look at your week, and you can say, you can look at the progression that you've made for development. But you can also look in need-based too, and say, look, I'm doing a lot of fitness here, do a lot of fitness, so maybe I need a little bit of technical. So there's this calendar that they can look at and be accountable for development. We've done that for years. So this is another way at home that they're able to do that. And it's like, you know, we try to, you know, send out different motivational quotes and things of that nature, because bottom line is, James, is that they need to be ready. And we care about them. We miss them. But when we get the green light, you know, we need to come out strong. And what that will look like, I'm not really sure. But it's so important that they're ready.
That's excellent. Well, listen, Mike, I want to thank you for today. Fantastic insight into the college game. You definitely gave me some insight, because I have watched from afar as you've taken this program from one level to the other, year after year, and hearing you speak, the thing that stands out the most to me is the whole character piece, which, you know, that's something that I think is the word that you use is massive, and hopefully any coaches that are out there listening to this start to work on the character piece and treat it just as important as your dribbling, turning, foot skills, your fitness,
Right.
your tactics. I mean, they're all topics, but obviously character is a big piece as well. And obviously for you, and I'm guessing a lot of other colleges too, that's the key to get into a high level college. It's the character piece.
Yeah,
Agreed?
no doubt about it. Yeah, that day-to-day environment is, you know, is so important. You know, that day-to-day environment is healthy. You'll develop on the field, in the classroom, you develop as a person. And I think, James, that, you know, we're fortunate in what we do, is that we get to teach players about life through a game that we love. So for us, it's all about the people. It's about the process. And, you know, you have to love the game. I mean, we love the game, but again, it's a game. You know, so, you know, hard work and fun are the key. And, you know, so for us, it's that day to day is the key for development.
Well, listen, man, thanks again. Appreciate your time. Good luck with everything. Hopefully we're all back on the field soon. Thanks again, Mike, and we'll chat soon.
James, thanks for having me. All the best to yourself, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.